T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff.
Welcome to Sport Weasel Central. I'm Lugs.
I'm J-Boy.
And I'm T-Dog.
Yes, sir. It's week 4 of the NFL's in the books. So, question, guys, are the Eagles unstoppable? The only undefeated team? And all the teams in the NFC West are 2-2. Another question, are the Bucs and Rams in trouble? We'll answer all those questions, but first, hey, Lugs, got a question for you.
Yes.
Ghost walks into a bar. Bartender asks, hey, pal, what will you have? Ghost says, I'm just here for the booze.
Oh.
So let's get started with the NFL.
Well, I was going to say you might have gotten some of that with the Rams San Francisco game.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the Rams, with losing Wentworth and his name just went out of my noggin. He's at Buffalo now. Anyway, they don't have a pass rush, and they can't protect the pass, rush. So I would say that Jimmy Garoppolo is perfect for this particular version of San Francisco. That's what impressed me. He doesn't do anything flashy, and he's never going to.
It's their division to lose, I'm going to say. Let's just say that.
I will say my favorite thing is the big difference between them. There's two big differences between them. But like on offense, the big difference between them is 49ers have Deebo Samuel and the Rams don't. Look, Cooper Kupp is a great wide receiver and stuff. He got to his 100 yards receiving, but it took 14 receptions, where Deebo Samuels takes a high slant. And I like how Troy tried to cover up for Garoppolo. It was like he had to be off target because if he threw it on target, it would have been picked off. I was like, okay, that's a weird, or I'm paraphrasing, but that's a weird thing for him to say. But then Deebo takes that and he makes multiple guys miss, including Jalen Ramsey. He scrambles up for a 57-yard touchdown. Both teams have to throw it fast because both offensive lines are bad. In terms of pass blocking, at least. The 49ers can still run the ball. They had success running the ball last night with Jeff Wilson. But you're right. The big difference is they won their Super Bowl last year, and they kind of knew this. They kept betting the farm, kicking, all their problems off to next year. It's next year. The bill finally came due on the Rams. And, not to say they might still squeak into the playoffs as a wild card, and maybe Allen Robinson, guy we hoped would have a good season because he's now with a good quarterback, still looks like he's just lost.
Did you know he's only had 10 targets this year? 10 in 4 games.
It's depressing, but the big difference between these two teams, really, besides Deebo, is the 49ers defense is probably the best defense in the league. They've shut down pretty much everyone. I know Justin Fields threw 2 touchdowns against them, but that was so long ago. It's such a bizarre scenario week 1 that it's just give them a mulligan on that one. They were still good on defense in that game anyway. It was 2 broken plays, or 1 broken play. So they should be in contention because I don't know if we're going to really get into the Carolina-Arizona game at all. Like Arizona's, congratulations on beating Carolina, but they're a mess.
Yep.
Gino, give credit to Gino with the Seattle Seahawks. Like he's playing well, but their defense is such a sieve that I don't think they'll make the playoffs. It really comes down to these two teams either winning a division, making the wild card, and definitely the 49ers are in the driver's seat to win the division.
Okay, a couple of notes about the Rams I have. So I caught a little bit of the Thursday Night Football prime thing, and Wentworth is on there, Andrew Wentworth. He's really good, so that's number 1. He's a good TV guy. Number 2, Lugs, did you see Aikman last night on Monday Night Football started singing the Dandy Don song, "The Party's Over"?
Yeah.
And he also said Cooper Kupp is going to be very sore tomorrow because he's the only receiver they have.
Well, pretty much it's Kupp and Higbee, I guess. That's it. Because obviously they have no respect for Cam Akers. I mean, I was floored by them not running the ball a little bit. But, it's what are we, right at
4
a
weeks
quarter
in.
Yeah, well,
We're a month in.
Yeah, 3 and 1/3.
No, a quarter. 1/3. Oh my goodness.
Well, no, 3 1/3 because it's a 17-game season. It's not really a quarter yet.
Technically, and carry the one.
Yeah,
it's that new math they teach in Indiana.
Well, I was just going to say, Sunday night football, was that a little atonement for that Super Bowl?
What is happening?
You could tell Mahomes was primed. I love that one time when he's running down there at about the 3-yard line, and he just hops up and kind of, bink, there it is, a touchdown. I mean, it was sandlot football there. He was going to do anything and everything he had to do to just take that one away. And you got to feel for Brady. He actually kept them in it. Other than Evans, it was just they didn't run the ball. I don't know what, although Tampa Bay has the luck of not having anybody in their division really that will compete with them. So they'll make the playoffs. I don't know how far they'll go though.
So T-Dog, did Tom Terrific come back and play one season too many?
I mean, I think so. Not for the reasons I guess we'll say. I mean, if you kind of like to be fair to what Luggs is saying, like Tom Brady, the player, is still playing well. I mean, even if you go back to last week, the loss against the Packers, I think he played as well as he could with not having I guess I'm not going to disrespect Russell Gage, but they brought in just random guys just to play 2 days before the game happened against Green Bay. Like he had a bunch of randos that he was thrown to, and their line's not that good in terms of run blocking, because we'll bring it up when we talk, I guess, about the Packers-Patriots game. Packers can't stop anyone running the ball. So it was pretty damning that a week ago the Bucs could not get their running game going at all against the Packers because of the sample size. You look at the 3 opponents that have played the Packers. Obviously, the Packers have won 3 games. All 3 of them were able to gash the Packers repeatedly on the run defense, and the Bucs were not. So it's a pretty damning indictment. But I kind of agree with Luggs. I'm not too worried about the Bucs because, again, I think Brady's still playing well. Not having Evans last week was a killer for them. And he came back. He had 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Godwin is still working his way into being in shape. I don't know how much you're really going to get out of Julio. I think Julio is like A.J. Green at this point. If you get anything, it's great. Don't expect even 50 yards a game from these guys at this point in their careers. I just think kind of like what you teed off it too. Like, I think Kansas City was looking forward to this game. But I think the most impressive thing about this was they were very balanced in how they attacked the Bucs. They ran 37 pass plays and 37 rushing attempts. And both Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Pacheco, their rookie from Rutgers, I believe they ran for like 155 yards rushing combined. And you take into account adding on to that I think 34 yards rushing that I think Mahomes added to it. They were able to, really attack Bucs run defense is probably the best in the league. So, I mean, it just shows you how good their offensive line of the Chiefs are. And kind of like what Luggs said, you still have those Patrick Mahomes doing crazy things. The touchdown to CEH was ridiculous where he just improvising. And even I think on that drive before, he was falling down and he threw a pass to Juju Smith-Schuster for a first down. So,
and it was on the money. That's what was amazing about it. Even in the worst, throwing against his left side, he still is on the money, whereas most quarterbacks would have just missed him altogether, or the ball would have sailed. To talk a little bit about Brady, when I saw shots of him on the sideline, he doesn't have the fire that he once had. You know, he's playing well, and you can tell he wants it, but you can tell he's got so much other stuff on his plate. We don't know what that is, but he's not that 100% laser focused Tom Brady that we're used to. And I think this is it for him. I don't think once you've lost that fire, you don't want to be out there, because that's when you can really get hurt. So, and I just, while we're talking about getting hurt, we've gotten some serious quarterbacks hurt. Obviously, Tua being the most prominent. It's tragic, really. I don't know what to make of, was the protocol not strictly enforced from the first lick? But when you show that on national TV with his hands doing that weird
fencing, fencing,
that lets you know. But again, he's saying he was on the plane watching a movie. And one thing they tell you about concussion is don't look at screens, because your brain can't manage that level of intensity.
Right. Go to a dark room. Right.
Yeah.
The whole thing's crazy. Where do you go with that?
Yeah. If we're going to talk about that game, I just want to say the injury to Tua, it's one thing for just that concussion. Well, there's a few things to build off of. One, obviously it feels at the very least whatever happened in the Buffalo game was misdiagnosed. I mean, I think everyone here has had probably back problems, and that for them to say that it was back spasms. I mean, I've never had back spasms where it made me wobbly.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been very hard for me to maybe stand completely upright, but my back locks up. It doesn't make my legs wobbly. Yeah. For that, number one, and then he was able to come back in. Number two, I mean, if he should have been clear for that game, and then for him to play in another game. And I know we've kind of already brought this up last year. I think again this year, why they're still playing on artificial turf. I mean, I'm not saying that if it was on dirt and in grass, it would have stopped him from getting concussion. But I do think because essentially it is just like concrete underneath there. It does add to it. Yeah, it does add to it when you slam in with the ferocity in which he was slammed into the ground. It didn't help. So I mean, he should sit, probably at least like a month, and it feels like he'll probably. I don't see how they can even start him within the next month, just based on. Yeah, everyone has a spotlight on him now, and this is when the NFL does get kind of finicky about these things. They don't really care until they get pressure from outside sources, and then that's when they adjust they
crank up the heat, right?
Yeah, and kind of like what Lugs got at, you can't allow these guys like Tua. I think has been maybe even said I'd be fine to come in and maybe play next week because he's already been ruled out this week. It's like you can't allow them to choose because. Just this weekend too, J.J. Watt, his heart was out of rhythm. He had shock treatment to get it in rhythm, I think on a Friday, and then he played on Sunday. It's like, why are you even playing? I mean,
when you look at it, all of those guys are hurt either minorly or majorly every game. Yeah. I mean, every game. You can't have human beings hitting each other at 35 miles an hour, in a car accident, but it's just crazy. Of course, we like to watch it because, it's sort of a gladiator sport.
Amen.
Well, here's the difference though. It's different you playing through maybe a strained, ligament
hammy or something,
or having having a slightly torn calf and playing through slightly torn calf. It's another thing when there's an issue with your heart or an issue with your brain. That's when the league really does need to step in. It's like, no, you don't get to make the call.
Yeah, and they wouldn't have had we not seen that video of Tua laying on the ground.
Right.
And he laid on the ground for 5